Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, June 30th, 2025 meeting of the Dalton Mayor and Council. This time, I'd ask that Mr. Lama lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council members, you have before you an agenda. This time, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have public commentary, and also Councilmember Mock is participating virtually. All right, first, Mr. Jim Black. Hi, good evening. If you would, please just come forward to the microphone. You have approximately 3 minutes. Okay, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. I'm just trying to make this short and try to make this short and brief. I ride my bike everywhere in the city, and I'm aware of the ordinance that where bikes can be on the sidewalk. And I get a lot of complaints with people yelling at me when I'm riding my bike, and they curse and yell at me for not using the sidewalk. Is there any way that the city council, the police department can put out like a public notice or something like that where people are aware of the ordinance? Because I'm really getting tired of getting yelled and cursed at. And I've already been hit once on Martin Luther King Boulevard and Glenwood Avenue.
Okay.
And I would like to know if there's any way that the city can work with the county and state, get like bike lanes in as much as they can.
So bike lanes are something that have been discussed over time, and with your comments tonight, we will ask our city leadership to look at that. But also what we can do is we have your contact information, and we will talk with law enforcement about your concern, and we will be back in touch with you.
Okay. And also one other thing real quick. If you guys can talk to the police department, because I know other people do ride the bikes, but they don't really, I don't think they enforce it as much.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works, but I'm trying to do my best to do my part and abide by everything.
Okay. Thank you for coming this evening, Mr. Black. All right. AK. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm here behalf of Cafe Ostro restaurant, and I have a back side of the restaurant. Maybe you guys are familiar. So there's 2 parking spaces right like 4 feet away from my door, my back door, which is my deliveries come 7 days in a week, 18-wheelers trucks consistently. So recently I was informed the city. I have some signs there which tells the customers or people who will want to park there. It says this is a for curbside pickup parking site for Cafe Ostro. But recently city asked me to remove these signs because it's city parking spots. But this morning, for example, I have two different big truck parked there. I don't know these people. I had delivery, 18-wheelers truck came and they couldn't able to deliver. So they had to turn around. I had to struggle big time. So we found the truck driver this morning. So we moved the trucks, like park trucks. But if we cannot find, I will not able to operate this business without my doors able to.
Okay.
Sense.
So AK, what we can do is follow up with you with city administrator and with code enforcement to understand. There are a lot of restaurants downtown, so I would imagine you're not the only
I'm not only, yes,
restaurant
yes.
that is expecting deliveries. And so often those delivery trucks double park and in order to be able to make deliveries. Was the truck able to double park and service you? Is there when the parking places are being utilized, does the truck just stop in the street or?
Even truck stop in the street. So the parking space is very tiny. 2 truck parks. There's no way my delivery truck can carry the food items with the dolly and go. There is no way. It's closed.
So there's no access for.
There is no access.
Okay.
And yeah, it's only 4 feet. The parking space is only 5 feet away from my door. So is like is any kind of things is very close, you know, and it's kind of
Okay.
interrupt the business. That's why I was here.
And we have your info as well, so we'll follow up with you. This is a holiday week, so it might be the beginning of next week.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you for coming. Okay. Next, there are no other public comments. Seeing no one come towards the mic. Presentation, staff reports.
There are none this evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
Okay. Council members, you have before you minutes of the council meeting of June 16th. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Unfinished business. Second reading ordinance 25-15 to amend Chapter 50 of the 2001 Revised Code of the City of Dalton, Georgia, captioned Environment by amending Section 50-209 captioned Minimum Requirements for Erosion, Sedimentation, and Pollution Control using Best Management Practices, to provide for an effective date, to provide for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, to provide for severability, and for other purposes. I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Under new business, we have 2 new alcohol beverage applications. Jesse?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Before you, for your consideration, we have 2 alcohol applications. The first one being business owner Gigi Dalton Holdings LLC, doing business as Courtyard Dalton. The applicant's name is Anish Govan. The physical address will be 785 College Drive. The type of licenses being applied for are pouring beer and wine and liquor. It is for a hotel. And this comes with a positive recommendation from the Public Safety Commission.
All right. Are there any questions or comments of Jesse? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. The second one is business owner KCM Brothers LLC, doing business as Dalton Food Mart. And the applicant's name is Sunil KC. The physical address is 1002 Underwood Street. And the type of licenses being applied for packaged beer and wine for a retail store. And this also comes with a positive recommendation by the Public Safety Commission.
Okay, any questions or comments of Jesse? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next we have, thank you, Jesse. Next, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Dalton Serenity Club. Andrew?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As you may recall from last year and the previous few years, the city has opted into the National Opioid Settlement through the Attorney General's office, as many cities and counties have done across the state. And those funds can be used only for authorized uses as outlined in the settlement agreement. So in 2024, the city entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Dalton Serenity Club to support their offering of services to the community related to opioid treatment, prevention, and recovery. In order to continue for them to be able to provide those services, we're proposing to renew their agreement in 2025 for a total amount of funding of $13,000 for this year. And this would support their ongoing Narcotics Anonymous and other opioid recovery programs for the next 12 months. As outlined in the MOU, they can only use the funds for approved uses like rent, utilities, program materials, and supplies. And our MOU also gives us the ability to request complete financial statements showing how the city funds were used. So this would be the second year of a partnership with Dalton Serenity Club.
Any questions? Sorry. Any questions or comments of Andrew? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I have a motion
A second.
and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 6, memorandum of understanding with the Carter Hope Center.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is very similar to the previous MOU with the Serenity Club. Another key community partner is Carter Hope Center, and they provide similar services to the community related to opioid treatment, prevention, and recovery. In 2024, the city also entered partnership with Carter Hope Center in the amount of $24,000 in funding per year, or $2,000 per month. And we are proposing to renew their partnership agreement for 2025. And again, the $24,000 in funding can only be used for approved uses as outlined in the settlement agreement, like rent, utilities, program materials, and supplies related to opioid treatment, prevention, and recovery. And again, the MOU provides the city the opportunity to request complete financial statements showing how the city's funds were used. Be glad to answer any questions.
I have a question for Mr. Parker. So how did we decide how much to give to each entity? Was there some kind of criteria that we looked at?
We had conversations with their program folks directly to kind of understand where they were in terms of their need related to providing these programs to their constituents and our constituents in the community. So it was really based on how much they felt like it would take to support their programs for the year. And as you can see, the two amounts were different. But then we look internally to see how much funds we have left, and we kept a safety nest for other potential opportunities to support the community as it relates. This would not really come close to exhausting the city's funds that are available, which right now is about $180,000.
I just didn't know if it was something that had been historical and we just continued to do it or how that worked.
It would be the same amount as 2024.
Any further questions or comments of Andrew? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 7, Resolution 25-09, creating a moratorium on the opening of certain businesses.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This basically is a moratorium on the businesses that are listed on this item. Those being vape shops as described on your agenda, adult entertainment establishments, event centers, extended stay hotels, stores that operate coin-operated amusement machines, massage parlors, and pawn brokers, pawn shops, and title pawn stores and pawn businesses. This would be a moratorium for a term of 6 months. And what this will do will provide staff the opportunity to craft some ordinances that places some further regulation and needed regulation on these types of businesses. As it's been expressed over the last several months, the need for doing that. So this will provide us some opportunity to do that, as well as bring some of our codes up to date with our new charter and have some much needed updating. But with that, I would entertain any questions that we may have of this.
All right,
And if I could just add for the record, Madam Mayor and Council, you should have received an updated copy of the resolution from Jesse this evening. It only added one additional line, which clarified that if any of the regulated businesses outlined have applied prior to 5 p.m. with the clerk's office for a license, permit, or other approval today, that their application would be reviewed and approved if they meet the conditions. So it just provided clarification that anybody that's already properly applied with the clerk's office, their application would be considered.
all right. Any questions or comments of Todd or Andrew? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve this resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hey Cindy, next we have the adoption of the 2024 millage rate.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. As you may recall, we had a temporary 2024 millage rate set because we did not have a final digest. This millage rate is based on the final digest that we received on 6/13 from the assessor's office, along with the exemptions from the tax commissioner's office. The taxable digest is $5.5 billion. It's up $921 million from the temporary digest. And the rollback rate as calculated by the PT 32.1 is 1.527 mils. And when we look at our temporary rate, millage rate, and this new final rate, we're just going to be getting about $44,000 less in revenue for 2024.
All right, any questions or comments of Cindy? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 9, Resolution 25-10, certifying estimated 2025 rollback millage rate.
This is a new requirement put in place by House Bill 581 in 2024, then House Bill 92 in 2025. It was basically a cleanup bill. And what this requires the taxing authorities to do is to provide an estimated millage rate that will be put on the tax notice assessments. What they had done in the past is they had put the prior year or the current, it would be the 2024 millage rate, and then they would put an estimated tax amount on the tax bill, on the tax assessment notice, not the tax bill. So what this requires us to do is give a millage rate. So we really don't have any knowledge of this tax digest, how much is going to be approved under appeals. So we bumped the number up just a little bit to be conservative, because if we put an amount on this tax assessment, then when the tax commissioner's office, we do adopt the millage rate, even at the rollback rate, if it's more than what we put on this estimated, they have to put a notification that says that the tax bill exceeded the estimated rollback rate. So that looks like we had a tax increase, even though if we roll the rate back based on the final numbers that we get. So I'm recommending a 1.6 mils to be put on the tax assessment notice. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Any questions or comments of Cindy?
We will still be adopting a 2025, and then we'll have the actual rollback rate.
Okay.
Hopefully within the next 6 weeks or so.
Any questions or comments of Cindy? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution 25-11 to adopt the 2025-2026 CDBG Annual Action Plan.
As you're aware, we have to adopt a 5-year consolidated plan, and currently our CDBG 5-year consolidated plan is 2024 through 2028. So each year, because we're an entitlement community, we automatically get money from HUD for our Community Development Block Grant Program. This year, we are getting $312,286. We have a competitive application process, and it has to be CDBG eligible. It has to be in line with our con plan. So what we do is we go through the applications, we look at what was requested, then we make a recommendation. We are limited, like 20% for admin and 15% for public service, and then the remainder can be used for public facility. So you guys have seen these recommendations before in the Finance Committee, so nothing's changed from what's been presented to you before. But we had two public meetings so that the public could come and pose any comments on why we should or why we should not fund these entities. And we also by HUD requires us to hold a 30-day citizen participation review and comment period. And all those comments, if we received, we might have received a couple, will be put in this annual action plan. So the annual action plan has been on display on the website at my front counter for 30 days. And the 30-day comment period ended June 23rd. So this is the resolution asking you to adopt the programs that's been presented to you before. It would be Latino Family Wellness Being Program for LAA, Latin America Association, $20,000. The Northwest Georgia Crisis Center Domestic Violence Client Advocate, $20,000. The Dalton Housing Authority HVAC replacement for beachland property, 9 units, $104,914. And then our residential rehab home repair program that the city of Dalton is doing internally at $104,914. And then the administration fee, $62,457, for a total of $312,286.
All right, any questions or comments of Cindy? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chad. Item number 11, traffic control change, no parking, Trammell, Clark, and West Hawthorne Streets.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request is to approve no parking on both sides of Trammell Street, beginning at the intersection of Wall Street and Trammell and extending down to the intersection of Clark Street and Trammell. Clark Street will be made no parking on both sides of the road, beginning at West Hawthorne Street, going west at approximately 220 feet west of the Trammell Street intersection, will reduce to no parking on the north side only of Clark Street for another 500 feet west. West Hawthorne Street will be no parking on both sides of the road, beginning at Clark Street, and will continue to Marble Street. This request for the change is following complaints we have received from the residents at the Housing Authority. The fire department was requested to go out and take a look at fire access at the Housing Authority, as well as the Creative Arts Guild. What they found while on site is that no parking conditions, as we show here, would be ideal to service both of those buildings. This comes with a positive recommendation from the Public Works Committee. With that, I'll take any questions.
All right, any questions or comments of Chad? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 12, Chad, agreement for sale and purchase of real estate, 616 North Elm Street.
This agreement is to approve the purchase of a temporary construction easement as well as a permanent drainage easement in the amount of $2,500, the means of installing storm drain pipe associated with the North Glenwood Avenue Drainage Improvements Project. This has been reviewed by the city attorney and has been discussed at several finance committees prior to this, finance committee meetings prior to this. And with that, I'll take any questions as well.
All right, any questions or comments? If not.
Is this one of the ones we were talking about having to acquire initially, or is it?
Yes, yeah, this was in the initial pool of properties that was discussed.
But it isn't one of them we were talking about having to take.
No, no,
We just worked out an agreement with the landowners.
that's correct, yes.
Any further questions or comments of Chad? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Have a motion,
A second.
a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, item number 13, ratification of Georgia Appalachian Regional Commission pre-application for project funds for Phase 1 of the East Morris Corridor Project.
Yes, as stated, this request is to ratify the pre-application for the pursuit of a grant with the Appalachian Regional Commission. The grant would help supplement the 2024 SPLOST funding that is currently being allocated towards the East Morris Corridor Improvements Project and would allow us to more than double this project scope. The total grant amount is $2 million and comes with a 50% match, which will be covered by the 2024 SPLOST funds. At this time, we don't know whether we're awarded the grant or not. This is just a pre-application. We did find out today that we got approval to move forward with the full application, so it's still moving forward. And with that, I'll take any questions.
And the reason we brought it to the council is I had to sign off on it as a representative of the city. So we just wanted to ratify that the council was good to proceed with Public Works and the Regional Commission moving forward to try to obtain these federal funds for the project.
All right, any questions or comments of Chad or Andrew? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 14, Andrew, change order number 3, hangar development at the airport.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I've just got a small change order here on our hangar development project at the airport. This is just for the final foundation plans from the architect. Normally, this would just carry over with our engineer of record, but because we changed engineers from the design phase to the construction phase, this had to be included under the general contractor. So the cost is $3,225, and it is still within the project budget on this.
Okay, any comments or questions of Andrew?
Motion to approve.
All right, got a motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 15, release and settlement agreement with Northwest Georgia Paving.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a settlement agreement with Northwest Georgia Paving Incorporated to resolve a legal dispute regarding the fence installation at the Heritage Point Soccer Complex, which was a 2020 SPLOST project. Parks and Rec staff, about 2 years after the project was completed, started observing some fence posts leaning. And after further inspection by city staff, the posts were discovered not to be installed as per the plan specifications. And so the contractor, through conflict counsel that the city had, negotiated a settlement with the contractor where they would agree to bear the cost of all the corrective work. And that work has already started. The work is being supervised by Steve and his staff to make sure that it's done correctly this time. And the only caveat is that once they repair this work, these fence posts that were not installed properly, it releases the contractor of future responsibility as to the fence only. The original contract warranty has expired, but the contract had some language that said basically if the work was not done to specifications, it didn't void the warranty. So that's why we were able to work through a negotiation to resolve this issue, and we're appreciative to the contractor for working with us on it. So no monetary exchange. It just releases the contractor future responsibility as to the fence.
All right, any questions or comments of Andrew? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 16, contract with Sages Networks, Inc. for code enforcement reporting software. Dan?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. In November 2022, we entered into a year-to-year contract with a company called Comcate Technologies. They provided our code enforcement software that we've been using ever since then. What I'm asking for tonight is that in November, we allow that contract to sunset, and then we enter into a contract with Sages Networks Incorporated of Atlanta. I feel like Sages Networks provides a superior product than what we've been dealing with. As far as the financials on that, there would be a one-time migration cost of $6,000. And it would take about 3 months for that migration project to be completed. The cost to finish out the year for November and December would be $677, bringing this year's total to $6,677. From that point forward, every year would be $1,000 per operator, and we have 4 currently, so $4,000, which compares to just over $5,000 that we've been paying the past 2 years. Again, I do feel like this is a better product at a better price, and I would ask that we enter into that contract.
All right, any questions or comments of Dan? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ethan, item number 17, first reading ordinance 25-16, the request of Sebastian Oraquat to rezone from neighborhood commercial C1 to rural residential R5, a tract of land totaling 1.74 acres located on Trammell Street and Jones Street, Dalton, Georgia, parcels 12-182-02-024, parcel 12-182-020-025, parcel 12-182-020-019, parcel 12-182-020-012, parcel 12-182-020-013, and parcel 12-182-020-014.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. The request for rezoning was made in order to rezone, of course, from this C1 neighborhood commercial to rural residential. The purpose of this is for the petitioner to be able to develop duplexes on the subject property. Of course, this property is made up of several individual tracts of land whereby they can be, lot lines can be moved as part of this to make individual lots to conform to whatever the plans, specific plans of the petitioner are. We did not receive any official site plans for their proposed development. I believe they are proposing 2 duplexes. There is a duplex on the subject property already. This would allow for additional duplexes to be built. There are also duplexes adjacent to the subject property. And this is in a transitional area, as we can see on the map, going from industrial to neighborhood commercial to medium density, single family residential. Based on the surrounding zoning, the residential nature of this, and the existing development specifically of duplexes, both on the subject property and adjacent, staff recommendation was to approve. There was no opposition, and the recommendation from the Planning Commission was also an approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, and this is just a first reading, but are there any questions or comments of Ethan? And so this is going to be contiguous to single family. Is that correct? R3, the green?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And then there's one parcel that is nearest the green is that already a duplex, or is that just doesn't have to be rezoned, or?
Right, that would be, that may be outside the ownership of the petitioner as well. Okay. I think they own the majority of those parcels there.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments of Ethan? All right, that'll be a first reading, so that'll have the opportunity to be eligible to be voted on at the July 21st meeting. All right, item number 18, first reading ordinance 25-17, the request of Octavio Perez to rezone from high-density residential R7 to general commercial C2, attractive land totaling 0.7 acres located at 501 North Hamilton Street, Dalton, Georgia, parcel 12-200-24-000.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The rezoning here before us is one to rezone from multifamily back to general commercial. I say back to general commercial because just a few years ago, this property was zoned general commercial and had a historic use of many years, various commercial uses. And several years ago, a petitioner requested to rezone for multifamily. Of course, staff recommendation and all at that time was to approve. Mayor and council approved it at that time. The current petition is to rezone it from high-density residential back to general commercial. Petitioner stated in the application that they intend to develop or reoccupy the existing structure on the subject property with a commercial convenience store, as it was listed in the application, or neighborhood store. And so that would accommodate them in their request. And we can see throughout this area on the zoning map, there is a general commercial zone district immediately to the south of the subject property. And of course, we see light manufacturing and heavy manufacturing as well. It's in another transitional area. We have a number of different zoning categories and land uses. Of course, the historic use of the property and historic zoning of the property. Staff did not cite any issues with this request and did recommend approval. There was no opposition heard at the public hearing, and the Planning Commission recommendation was for approval as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions or comments of Ethan? Okay, if not, this will be eligible to be voted on the July 21st meeting. Item number 19, first reading ordinance 25-19 to amend Chapter 6 of the 2001 Revised Code of the City of Dalton, Georgia, captioned alcoholic beverages by adding a new section 6-113 captioned package stores, by reserving sections 6-114 through 6-140 for future use, by amending section 6-107 captioned disqualification generally, by striking, repealing, and deleting subsection 3 in its entirety, subsection, and substituting in lieu thereof a new subsection 3, to provide for an effective date, to provide for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, to provide for severability, and for other purposes. This is going to be Andrew or Todd, sorry.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. As the council, if you'll recall that the council was approached by a group of the liquor store owners that we have here in the city of Dalton that represents a large group of the liquor store owners that requested that we limit the number of liquor stores in the city, licenses in the city. And as a result, the council's tasked staff to research this, and which we did, and we did find that there are several other cities, municipalities that do this, and they do it in a couple of different ways. One way is by distance, the other way is by population. And we found through our research that the best way to do this is to do it via our population, our current population. And so this would be an amendment to Chapter 6. And right now it's based on one liquor store per 2,500, or that would be rounded up to 14 liquor stores that would be allowed. And when we have a slot that comes open, the subsequent available license would be awarded via lottery. There is a system that's set up for that as well. This ordinance also addresses, as Andrew's slide dictates it, there's a Scrivener's error that's in the code, and we're utilizing this to correct that error in our code. But with that brief description, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. This is a first reading on
Would this change like every time the census come out, like if the population drop?
That is correct. That is correct. And that's why it seemed to be the most efficient way to do this, is because it moves with our population. It can go up or it could go down if our population does decrease.
All right, any other questions or comments of Todd? If not, this will be eligible to be voted on as this is a first reading at our July 21st meeting. Thank you. Item number 20, reappointment of Judy Jolly to the Library Board for a 3-year term to expire June 30, 2028.
I move that we approve this. She's done a great job. I'm sure she'll continue to do a good job and is willing to serve another term.
Are there any questions or comments about Ms. Jolly? If not, I will entertain them. Is that in the form of a motion?
It is.
I have a motion. Excuse me, that is in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, I don't believe there is any supplemental business before this council. One announcement, the city government offices will be closed Friday, July 4th, 2025, in observance of Independence Day. The next city council meeting will be held Monday, July 21st, 2025. Thank you all, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all very much.